Hello. So, I am making this video because of the debate that you just saw or are about to see. I'm having to decide where I want to put it relative to where I want to put this relative to the rest of the thing. But basically, I just want to clarify my stance because Tyler Bluntman does misrepresent what I'm trying to say in this argument, and because I'm not used to debating, and because I was not prepared to really have this conversation, I don't think I handled it as well as I could have. He will say, and he will tell you, that I am pro-baby murder, that I think people should have the right to kill babies. That is inaccurate. What I said in the debate, what I tried to argue to the best of my ability, which I admit was not fantastic all the time, was that you have the right to remove anyone from your home if you don't want them there. And of course, this is a metaphor for abortion. You should not, people's bodies are not houses. All right, and anyone with a uterus has the right to remove anyone from that uterus that they, as they so desire. So the analogy that I originally posed was, if you're throwing a party and after the party's over, you have one person that doesn't want to leave, you have the right to remove that person from your house in any way that they deem necessary because they're trespassing. Tyler Bluntman, because people like this tend to appeal to emotion, and bringing up the topic of killing babies is a good way to do that, said, let's make it more equivalent and say, what if you have a 1-year-old baby? Now, of course, if he wanted to make it as equivalent as possible, he would have said, what if you have a fetus in your house? And I said that my principle still stands, that if you don't want that baby in your house, you have the right to remove them in any way that you deem necessary. So he took this to mean that I have the right to kill the baby. When he asked if that means I have the right to kill the baby, I said, you have the right to remove anyone from your house in any way that I deem necessary. He didn't engage at that point. That is basically just to say, I don't want anyone to think that I am pro-baby murder. I am pro-choice, and I am pro-property rights. And I hope that if my performance in the debate did not reflect that, I do apologize if it didn't. I don't want people to think that I want to kill babies. So if it didn't reflect that, I do apologize. If my performance in that debate, argument, conversation didn't reflect that, then I want this to be me definitively saying that my only stance is that you have the right to yourself. In the context of this house metaphor, you have the right to your own property and to have whoever you want inhabit that property, regardless of whether they need to or not. And in the context of your own body, you have the right to your bodily autonomy and to not house any life form, fetal or otherwise. Now, if you're a Tyler Bluntman fan, you probably won't care what I have to say. You probably won't listen to me. You'll probably just take what he says at face value. You probably won't even be watching this video, and if you are, welcome. It's good to have you here. But if you are genuinely interested about me, what my stances are, how I feel about this issue, what my intentions are, and what I believe, well, then hopefully this provides some clarity as to that. And also, if you feel so inclined, do in the comments leave some criticism of my performance, if any. Not because I plan to do many debates more often, but just because I would like to get better at having these conversations when I have to have them, and at arguing my points in the most effective way possible. I also want to make it clear that the reason I'm making these videos is not because I am in any way trying to backtrack on anything that I've said, or that I think that anything that I said was technically or semantically incorrect. I just don't want to be misrepresented. And I think that by not posting the full interview in context, and by not making these videos to clarify that it is very likely that that will happen, and I want to avoid that as much as possible. This isn't me conceding by any means. This is just me saying that Tyler Bluntman is going to tell people that I'm a baby murderer, but that's something that pro-life people tend to do. And he's wrong, and to say that is wildly inaccurate and misrepresents the argument that I was trying to make. Thank you very much, and I hope that helped. Also, it's just a ridiculous allegation, isn't it? Like, it's insane to try to tell people that, like, I'm actively advocating for the murder of, like, toddlers. Anyway.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, you know, this
This is it? My damn
this is
water.
it. Yeah.
So, hey man, so what was so for anybody, oh, here it is. So for anybody who was not understanding where we were, what was your name? I forgot.
My name is Chinyelu. I am at Chin for short on TikTok.
So
ChinForShort.
chin,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like chin or
Chin.
like shin?
Chin.
Chin. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay. Like if somebody checks your chin. Got it. So
Yeah.
okay. So basically, Chin had a I guess he didn't like my video when it, or I guess he would say he found a discrepancy in my video to where talking about my body, my choice, and bodily autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of went back and forth for like a second, and I told him that we should just get on here and talk about this, and talk about one other thing regarding abortion as well. So yeah, man. So can you tell me like basically what the issue is?
Yeah. So in your original video, the one that I originally responded to,
Oh,
you
hold on.
compare.
I'm so sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you. Before you tell me, and I'm going to let you do that, but I'm going to kind of tell you my stance clearly so that you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand first.
For sure.
Okay, so my stance when it comes to mask mandates is I don't believe that the government should be enforcing that, right? I'm completely fine with businesses, private businesses being able to do that. I'm just not cool with businesses forcing it because I don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like it's an unnecessary use of government power. And I consider it to be tyranny now, very small tyranny. I mean, it's not like the same thing as the government lining us up and shooting us down one by one. But I still do believe it to be government overreach because there is nothing stopping someone else from taking the precautions that they need to protect themselves. Now, if they couldn't take those precautions for whatever reason, then, if the masses couldn't do that, they're like, okay, so then maybe this makes sense for this government overreach. However, it doesn't because there's nothing stopping you from doing what you need to do to protect yourself. So go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So real quick, this isn't exactly what we're debating, because you did mention that thing about precautions in the second video that you made,
Yeah.
and I would actually argue that that is an unreasonable expectation to have, because, like you see, medical professionals. Um, so, for instance, when I went to my school this semester, um, they had us all get tested when we got there,
Yeah.
and all of the people testing us, they were in full hazmat suits. I would argue that something that extensive to make sure that make sure that you're fully protected is not practical for everyone, and it's not practical for most people, in fact. So I would say that the idea that everyone can just take the precautions that they
How
need.
isn't it practical?
Uh, well, let's look at how much a hazmat suit costs.
I don't
Um,
say that you have to get a hazmat suit.
well, I'm
So,
well, I'm
so, so
saying,
let's look at it this way, right? So let's look at it like if since you want to be practical. Okay, how does COVID infect you?
it gets in through your mouth, through your nose. Some people sometimes through your eyes. I think there was a study that said.
Yeah, your mouth, your nose, your eyes, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so then I would just ask you, what's stopping you from protecting each of those body parts?
Uh, Nothing, but also what's stopping COVID
There it
from?
is.
Okay, but I'm saying that, like, um, it's more complicated than just putting like a fucking fishbowl over your head, because you have to have equipment that is certified to be able to like filter the air that you're taking in. You have to have equipment that's going to cover the rest of your body so that it doesn't get into and infect your living space. And so it's just it's if it was that simple, everyone would do it. The CDC has given us the simplest solution to keep ourselves safe, but that's not what we're arguing.
I
Um,
disagree.
okay, that's fine.
Just
That's not
just
what we're
just
arguing.
because something is simple doesn't mean that everyone would do it, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, but that's not what we're arguing. So the original video that you made was the one where you said that uh, it's my body, my choice until people want you to wear a mask. I personally don't have any stance on whether or not the government should be able to mandate masks. I haven't put that much thought into it, but I don't think that comparing not wearing a mask to getting an abortion is a fair equivalency. And so
Actually,
that,
did I say abortion?
well, what did you mean by my body, my choice then?
My body, my choices can cover a number of things, right? So it can cover abortion, sure, but it can also cover
Hmm.
things like prostitution. It can also cover things like drugs, which I'm pro.
Okay.
Yeah. So my body, my
Okay.
choice is basically bodily autonomy, right?
Yes.
That's the point. It's not specific to just abortion, right?
Fine. Fine. But
Yeah.
regardless, it's not. But regardless, I don't think that just not wearing a mask is a matter of your own bodily autonomy, because not wearing a mask has an effect on people outside of yourself.
Wrong. It may have an effect, right? That's what you keep conflating may with it will, right? So it may have an effect on somebody else. That person may contract it. That person may die from it, right?
Hmm.
That's what it is. And as you've already said earlier in the 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes ago, when I asked you, okay, so how does COVID affect you or infect you? Like, oh, well, it has to get in between your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. Like, okay, agree. We completely agree on that, right? And I said, okay, well, what's stopping you from protecting those body parts? And you said, well, nothing. Then that's it, right? That's
Okay.
really, it's that simple for me.
Okay, so I would say that just because it's an issue of may versus it will still doesn't mean that it's a fair comparison to other issues of bodily autonomy, because in the issues that you listed, like abortion, drug use, prostitution, um, in all of those situations, it's a matter of those things don't those things don't affect anyone else aside
Well,
from,
abortion
and
does.
well,
Yeah.
aside from say if it's prostitution, the person that you're interacting with,
They
and
have
say
AIDS.
if it's exactly the person that you're interacting with, and in the case of abortion, the pregnancy that you're terminating. Whereas not wearing a mask has the potential to affect more than just you and this other individual, which is and that's the issue for me.
Again, you're just this is now circular reasoning, right? Because you're just saying the same thing of what I just said. You just you're conflating potential with it will. That's what it is.
No, I'm not.
Or
I'm
let's say
conflating.
you're not conflating. Let's say you're not conflating. You just keep saying potential, right? And it may. You don't know
Yes,
that it was.
because
You
you're
don't
not.
know that I have COVID, and that's not even the biggest reason for me. That's not even the biggest reason for me, right? Because it would be kind of different if we had like a fucking zombie apocalypse, right? That'd be different, right?
Hmm.
But this, you do not. Not only do you not know, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem for me is that there is nothing stopping you from protecting yourself. That's my biggest part of it. There's nothing stopping you, right? If there was something,
Um,
if you could legitimately speak to some kind of source or study and showed like, look, the majority of Americans, we're not going to be able to protect our eyes. Excuse me, our eyes, our nose, our mouth. We're not going to be able to sanitize our hands and so on and so forth. We're not going to be able to wear long sleeve shirts. We're not going to be able to wear $8 Amazon glasses that you can go ahead and get to protect your eyes. If you were saying something like that, that you just couldn't do that, I'd be like, okay, maybe you have an argument, but you don't. So you don't.
okay, and that's fine, but that's not what we're arguing about, is it? We're arguing
It
about
is.
the
That's
comparison
what
to
I'm
not wearing
arguing.
a.
I don't know what you're arguing.
Well, that's not what we agreed to argue. Was the comparison of not wearing a mask to other issues of bodily autonomy? At least that's what
No,
I
that's
thought
not,
that we were
no,
coming
no,
into
no, no, no,
argument,
no, no. You said you
because
no,
that
no, no, no. You replied to
because
you
that
replied to a video. Hold on, real quick. You replied to a video, right? And then I replied, and then you said something else. I said, hey, I will be happy to continue this conversation with you, right?
okay.
This is my argument, right? This is why I don't do it. This is why, or not why I don't do it. This is why I don't believe in the government enforcing it. But to be completely honest, it seems like it seems like this is moot anyway, because you already conceded earlier. You're saying, okay, well, I don't even really have a stance if the government should enforce it anyway. I'm talking about the government, right? So like, you're not even arguing against what I'm arguing in the first place, right? I'm talking
So
about government enforcement.
okay, so that I don't understand how I was supposed to know that if the original video that I replied to, that wasn't the point at all. The point, the thing that I have an issue with is comparing it to other issues of bodily autonomy. I am
Mm.
not prepared. I was not prepared coming into this to argue about whether or not what to argue the issue of accessibility.
To
So
be
I don't.
fair, in my video response, I did mention, I actually did say that in my first video response to you, did I not? I actually said at the very end of the video, I said, hey, I'm absolutely okay for businesses mandating masks, having mask mandates. I'm not okay with the government doing it. I did say that, right?
And in my response to that video, I believe that I said it was still uh, I was still in the bodily autonomy thing. Remember, like
Okay,
that is
okay.
what I
So what do
said.
you? So let me ask you this: what are you trying to argue?
I'm trying to argue that it's not reasonable to compare not wearing a mask to other issues of bodily autonomy. That is what I came here to
So
argue.
like specifically to like abortion?
You could say abortion, you could say prostitution, you could say drug use, you could say any of it.
I actually would agree it's not fair to compare those two things because when it comes to abortion, I mean, you're that is the killing of another human being, right? So I would agree that that's not comparable.
Mm,
That's definitively ending a human's life, whereas this it's not. So I would agree.
okay, yeah, that's and okay. You also said that you wanted to argue abortion. So what do you want to? So you conceded at that
Your
point. So what do you want to
stance.
argue about that? My
Well,
stance is
hold on. Conceded what point?
you conceded that the issues of bodily autonomy with those issues and with wearing a mask aren't the same. They're not comparable.
I'm saying that they are not comparable because it is the taking of a human life. Yes, absolutely. If I was
Yeah.
putting myself in like yours or like a pro-lifer, or sorry, like a pro-choicer shoes where you don't believe it's a taking of a human life,
Hmm.
that's really the only reason why I said that, to get those reactions, right? To get people to
Yeah.
engage. But
And
are you saying that you do believe that it is the taking of a human life?
I think that whether or not it's the taking of a human life is irrelevant.
Yeah. I get that because I saw your thing in the comments that you were talking about bodily autonomy or something. So do you want to tell me like your stance?
Yeah, so I feel like regardless of whether or not abortion is the taking of a human life, because there is debates about, you know, where life starts, whether life starts at conception, whether life starts at conscious thought.
Mhm.
There is, I think that that is irrelevant because it doesn't change the fact that no one has the right, that no one is entitled to someone else's life resources. It's the same reason that no one can force you to donate a kidney. It's the same reason that no one can hook you up to another person so that you can sustain them with your own body,
Okay,
even
so
if it does come at the cost of their death. It's the same reason that no one can force you to house someone in your own home.
yeah, so that's disanalogous.
How so?
Yeah, it's completely disanalogous. So for one, you would have to say that a person, when you're talking about your kidney thing, you'd have to say that a person willfully caused the accident, then hooked you up to them against your will, and then now you need them to survive to live. But that person decides for whatever reason that they no longer want you attached to them, and then decide to end your life irrevocably. That would make it
I
analogous.
so I wouldn't say that. So the willfully causing the accident thing.
Basically, my argument to your
Hmm.
bodily autonomy is that
Hmm.
you force that person into a state of dependency. You cannot then remove that state of dependency knowing that they will die if you do. That would be immoral.
Uh, so I would say that willfully causing the accident is not always the case, because for one thing, you're not going to stop people from from having sex. That's not going to happen. Um, it's just not. So with that in mind, the only way to take an effort to prevent a pregnancy from occurring from sex is to use some method of contraceptive. However, no method of contraceptive is 100% effective, and
Hold on,
so
don't pivot from what I said. So you're going into other
I'm
things that
not
has nothing
pivoting.
to do
You're
with what I'm saying.
interrupting. I'm not pivoting.
Yeah,
You're interrupting me.
what does that have to do with what I just said to you?
I was getting there, but you interrupted me.
Mm.
So you're saying that those two comparisons are disanalogous
Yeah.
because you're saying that for the reason of because in the example that you presented, you said that the person who was receiving the kidney would have had to have willfully put you into the conditions to. You're saying that the person who is taking the kidney would have had to, you would have had to have willfully put them in the conditions to need to receive that kidney. I'm saying that the willfully putting them into that situation part is not correct. It's not,
How so?
because like I said, all pregnancies aren't willful. Pregnancies are the byproduct of sex, and they can
Yeah.
happen whether or not you want them to. Consenting to sex does not mean that you consent to a pregnancy, because
That's
you
irrelevant.
how.
That's irrelevant. So I wouldn't even phrase it that way. I don't believe. I wouldn't phrase it the way that consenting to sex is consenting to pregnancy. I would say that people have a moral obligation to accept the consequences of an action that they consciously and voluntarily act on. And that extends to sex. Do you disagree?
Yes, because I would say that if you are preemptive in the effort to prevent the pregnancy from happening in the first place, then if it does happen, in spite of your best efforts, you should not be forced to support another life form in your body for 9 months, potentially.
So you believe that if people do willfully act on something that it doesn't matter?
I believe
What does them taking measures have to do with that? I can give you. Let me ask you this. So let's say that you have human cells that are in a jar, right? So you got human cells that are chilling in a jar, and let's say that you can see it, right? They look cool or whatever. Now you don't have to interact with these cells, but you kind of want to, and you know that there is a chance that if you do interact with these cells, that they will physically attach to you and create a new person that will be completely dependent on you for survival, right? For a period of time. Now, you decide, even knowing that risk, you decide to play with these cells. Lo and behold, it reaches out, it attaches to you, it creates this new person that is now completely dependent on you, right? So my argument is that because you force this new person into a state of dependency on you, you cannot then remove that dependency, knowing that they will die if you did. So what issue do you have with what I just said?
I would say that, well, for one, so I would say that if you are, taking precautions to make sure that this jar of cells in this scenario cannot reach out to you, and it does anyway, I would say that, because you took the necessary precautions, that being forced into a state of dependency on you is not your responsibility. It's like saying
Is that a joke? Is that a joke?
No, I'm saying no.
Okay.
Not at all.
So going to my analogy. So where we talked about the human cells, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
you use gloves, you use eyewear, you have whatever you have. It doesn't matter, right? Because you willfully chose to do that, even knowing that the risk was small. Correct?
Yeah.
You
took all the precautions necessary for that not to happen. To minimize it as much as possible, because
Correct.
you know that you are not in a position where you want to or can care for this individual. So
but you chose to interact with those cells anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if that individual does then latch onto you and become that being, that that doesn't change the fact that you still cannot be forced to take care of that being if you don't want to and haven't wanted to from the jump. You just can't do that. And I think it's very.
You're not saying anything. You're just talking. You're just talking, but you're not actually saying anything. So actually, I'll tell you what you are saying. What you're saying is that, look, even if I do something, if I force someone to be in a state of dependency on me, it doesn't actually matter because I didn't want this part of the consequence that I knew that I could have. That's what you're saying. You're basically saying that, look, I'm going to do something. I'm going to take precautions. I'm going to minimize the risk to me. I can't completely eliminate it, but I'm going to minimize the risk to me. Now, I'm going to act in a way that I don't have to. I don't have to do this, but I'm going to anyway. But I should be absolved of my consequences because, I didn't really want it to happen. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and also that regardless of how they got there, no one is entitled to your body. That's not the case. And I think it's very funny, and I think it's very well. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, and like that.
Yeah, we have two different. We just have completely different morality. So I believe that people need to be held accountable for their actions that they willingly and voluntarily act on. You just don't. So at that point, yeah. We just disagree on morality.
I think that you're representing my stance unfairly there.
No, you can even roll back this video where I asked you that question. You said, yes, I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, but you can also roll back to where I said that because you haven't engaged with the fact that I don't think that anyone is entitled to your body, regardless of how they got.
I've already dismantled your kidney argument. Your kidney argument was disanalogous. I even made it analogous for you.
Would you agree that in that situation where someone needs your kidney to live, you are not entitled to give them your kidney? Is that
Sure.
the case?
Sure.
Okay. And so regardless of whether or not whatever this being needs me to survive, I am not entitled for
No,
any
that wasn't my
reason
argument.
at all. Well, that's my
That was my
argument.
argument.
That's my
Because
argument. I'm not
okay, so
entitled
either
for
so
any
one or
reason.
two, it's one of two things. Either you're not understanding my argument, you can't comprehend
Mhm.
my argument, or you're intentionally misrepresenting my argument and not
So
attacking it head on.
let
Let hold on before you do
no,
that.
no, no, no.
Let me
Let me see if I can understand what you're trying to say.
go ahead.
So what I'm hearing you say is that people have a responsibility to
Obligation.
have an obligation to deal with the concept. Oh, real quick, do you think that abortion should be legal for rape victims?
I believe evictionism should be okay for rape victims.
You believe what?
Evictionism.
What's that?
Evictionism is when you don't go in. So abortion is when you go in with the intent to kill, oftentimes dismember the fetus that is in there. Evictionism would be that you are going to remove that fetus, and if the fetus dies, it dies.
What's the difference?
One is its intent. So like say you did it at 20, say you did it at 21 or 22 weeks. I'm going to break this down for you. It's not even really relevant, but I'll break it down for you. So say that it's you're pregnant at 22 weeks. If you were to go in with an abortion, that means that you are going in to kill the fetus, right? If you go in with an eviction, or evictionism would be like, okay, so we're going to remove that fetus and hope that it lives. If it dies, then it does die. So people have, or babies have been born as young as I think 21 weeks. So it could be viable. One is where they could survive. One is where they don't survive.
So
I believe that only in cases of rape.
So what I'm hearing is you're okay with abortion if the fetus has a chance of surviving.
I said that I'm not okay with abortion at all. I said evictionism.
Evictionism and abortion are okay.
Do you not understand why?
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just kind of at a loss for words because those sound
Similar.
yeah. How does a fetus that's been evicted have a chance of surviving? Like, does it have a chance of surviving?
If you remove a 22-week-old fetus, can that fetus survive?
No, but
yes.
Can the fetus? It can.
Yes.
Okay.
How young has a baby been prematurely born to where they survive?
I don't know.
21 weeks.
Hold on. Because I'm sorry, I had never heard of this term before, so I'm just.
You never heard of evictionism?
No, not at all.
It's a pretty libertarian stance. They pretty much believe in evictionism throughout all of pregnancy. Most of libertarians, at least the pro-choice libertarians, not the pro-life libertarians. What are you looking for?
So I'm looking at the definition, like Walter Block,
Yeah.
his definition of evictionism, and it is an early. So basically, what it says that it is, it's abortion without killing the baby, without killing the fetus.
Yeah, but abortion is the killing of a fetus. It doesn't matter what he says it is, right? So like abortion is the intent to kill. You go in to kill the fetus. Evictionism, you do not go in with the intent to kill. That's not really relevant to what we're talking about anyway. We completely got off track, but
yeah, no, you're right. I'm going to do some reading about this after this because that is.
I don't even remember the point that you had before that because you'd gone so far off into evictionism.
Yeah, no, that bonkers. Let me think. I think we were.
So basically, this is how I recap it. So you said that bodily autonomy, and then you used the kidney argument. I told you that the kidney kidney argument was disanalogous. I then showed you how it would have to be analogous. I then asked you if you believe that people have a moral obligation to accept the consequences of their actions if they voluntarily and consciously act on them. You then said, well, no, because of X, Y, and Z. If you take the precautions that you need to take the precautions, I told you that those precautions are completely irrelevant. It does not matter what precautions you are taking. You have a moral obligation to accept the consequences of actions that you voluntarily and consciously act on. And then you just disagreed. So yeah, so we just have completely separate moralities, man. I believe that people should take responsibility and you don't.
Well, it's not that I don't believe that people should take responsibility, but I think that our rights to our own bodies and to not have our own bodies, invaded without our consent,
wasn't invaded.
Outweighs that.
You invited them.
It was.
You invited them.
No,
yes.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You did.
No, you didn't. So if you say you throw a party,
I gave you that exact analogy, and then you couldn't even refute it. You couldn't even refute it.
I haven't been.
You couldn't even refute it.
I'm going to give you an analogy of my own. All right. So just wait till I'm done.
Go ahead. Give me the analogy.
Say you throw a party, you invite a bunch of people. The party's done. You tell everyone to leave, and then there's one person who won't go. They just won't. Are they entitled to be in your house because you invited, because you initially told them that they could be there, and then after the terms of the agreement have changed, they can just stay there if they want to?
Okay, so let me make sure that I got your analogy properly, because I don't want to misrepresent it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying party, you invite a whole bunch of people over,
Mm-hmm.
one person doesn't want to go.
One person doesn't want to leave your house after the party is over.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So basically, okay. So let me finish.
I want to explain a little further.
Let me finish.
Let me explain a little.
You already explained it. Let me finish. So what you're saying is that, okay, so because someone's in my home that I don't want to leave, that I can kill them. That's what you're saying to me.
I'm saying that then you have the right to
kill them.
You have the right to call, I guess, the police in this situation to have them removed from your property for trespassing.
Do you have the right to kill them?
Well, you can kill trespassers in your own home, yes.
That's not what I'm asking you. And let's even make it more analogous, because you're talking about a party with grown adults. How about we actually be genuine here? So say that there is a 1-year-old, right? A 1-year-old that is sitting on your floor. You don't know how they got there. There's a 1-year-old on your floor in your home. Do you have the right to kill them? You really got to think about that.
No, because that's not the scenario that I put out. That's a different thing. That'd be
because your scenario wasn't completely genuine. Mine was more genuine.
So you're saying that if there's just a baby spontaneously in the middle of your floor, do you have the right to kill them? Because then what you're asking about is immaculate conception. I would say that
it doesn't matter how you can come up with whatever reason you want of how that baby got there. What I'm asking you is, if there is a 1-year-old in the middle of your home, do you have the right to kill it? It's a really direct question.
Yeah, sure. I would say that you don't. That no one can force you to keep that baby in your home. What you decide to do with it to get it out of your home is really up to you. It's your place. It's your
Answer
space.
my question. Answer my question. Do you have the right to kill the baby? Yes. If there is. Okay. So you believe in child murder? Yeah. So you believe that you do have. So you said that yes, you can kill that baby. You just said that you have the right to kill the kid.
You have the right.
You said that. I'm not framing it any other way.
You have the right to remove anyone from your property in any way that you deem necessary.
I didn't say remove. I asked you. I asked you if you have the right to kill. Abortion is killing. Right,
and
so
I'm saying
the ending of the life.
Yes, you have the right to remove anyone from your property in any way that you deem necessary.
So at this point, there's nothing that I could do to convince you, because you believe in child murder. I mean, you just said that. You said that if there is a 1-year-old. Hold on. I'm not misrepresenting you. You said, let me finish, bro. Let me finish.
You're not representing me accurately.
Hold on. I'm reciting what you said. So tell me where I lost this.
You lost it when you said that I said that. You lost it when you said that I said that I believe in child murder, because that's not what I believe.
You do.
No,
you do.
I'm not.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so let me break this down. Let me break this down,
Mm-hmm.
bro. We can't keep interrupted. So let me break this down. So I asked you if there was a child, a 1-year-old, on your floor in your home,
Mm-hmm.
can you kill that child? You said yes. That
Because
is child murder. So
I
whether you
said,
want to admit
I
that it's
said,
child murder or not is irrelevant. You support child murder.
lower your voice and let me speak. I
Bro,
said that,
don't talk to me like I'm a kid, bro. I'm not with that. I'm not with that funny shit. I'm not that dude.
I said that you have the right to remove anyone from your property and any deemed necessary. That is what I believe in. I don't think that your first jump should be to kill the kid. But if the death of this child is the only way that you can get them off of your property that you don't want them to be on, then I think that
Just
you
kill
are
them.
fully within your rights to make that happen.
So hold on. So
Someone
let
just
me frame it. Let me
leaves,
frame it a
if
little bit.
someone just,
Can I frame it just a little bit more?
I'm
I think it would
sorry,
be.
you're frozen.
Can you see me? Can you see me? Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
we had to connect. We had to
Okay,
connect.
okay.
Yeah, we
Let,
had to
let me
connect.
let, let me even I'll modify for you that it would probably even work a little bit more. It would be more. I don't know.
Also,
It would be more
why
analogous to actual pregnancy. So hold on. Let me do this.
I have,
Let
okay,
me
and
do
then I
this.
have a question. And I
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
question.
absolutely. I'll answer your question. So okay. So this child that's sitting in your home, right? So you're saying that let's say that we know that that child needed to be there for a certain period of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the child needs to be there for however many months. You know what? I got one. Let's say 9 months. So let's say that that child needs to be there for 9 months. You know that that child would then leave, right? But you're saying that you still should be able to kill that child.
Um, I'm saying that you should be able to remove that child from your home in any way that you deem necessary.
Which includes
But
killing.
if if that is the only option, then sure. Because I also don't think that you should be that you should have
How would it be
to
the only option?
endure the long term. What?
How would it be the only option?
I don't know. This is a hypothetical scenario. Like it could be a variety of reasons.
Okay.
Maybe your only option to get the child out of your house is to just set them outside of your doorstep. Maybe the only option is to I don't even know. Like we're arguing hypotheticals.
Okay.
But I'd
So
also
yeah,
believe
so
that
we just have different morality,
let
man.
me finish. And then I have another. So I also don't believe that you should have to endure whatever potential long-term consequences of having a child in your house are. Raising a child for 9 months is expensive, um, and so there's that. But also, why is it different if it's a child or an adult? Because what I think that you're doing by saying that it has to be a child is you are appealing to the emotional side of the argument, which is not a good arguing technique.
No, it's not appealing to any type of emotion. It's because children cannot be held accountable for their actions, right? So if there's like a homeless 21-year-old that's doing whatever they want in their house, they can be held accountable for their actions and they're a trespasser, right? But if there is a baby, if there is a 1-year-old, if there is a newborn in your home, they cannot be held accountable for their actions morally or legally.
Okay, but again, this isn't about the actions of the other person. This is about your right to your own things.
Right. So we're just getting circular now. So yeah. So like I said, like we just have completely different morality. I don't believe that you should be able to kill that kid. You do believe that you should be able to kill that kid. There's nothing I could say to that. So
All
yeah.
right,
I mean, yeah,
fine.
we just have different moralities.
I will continue arguing personal property rights, and I guess you will continue arguing whatever that is.
Okay.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks for coming on.